And we are back. It's week 14 of the Sunday spread. This season's going by quick.
Woo, you ain't never
Welcome.
lied.
We got Devin Caney over here, miss. I'm going to brag about all my TD bets because all I do is win, and I'm going to rub it in everyone's face.
All right. Well, jealousy's not a good look on you.
I have been using her, and I've been making some money because of her, so just so you know.
And we have
You're welcome.
Barrett Brooks over here who's going to back up Devin Caney and jump me. And then Sean Bell here who gets annoyed by it, all of you, because I'm out here losing and people are taking shots at me. But that is the Sunday spread. That is the crew. How y'all doing?
Doing well. I mean, I'm a bit richer after my.
Oh, you see what I'm saying? She starts right away.
After
She starts
my
right away.
Eagles won, they beat the Ravens almost by double digits, but then
Oh, my goodness.
It would have been double digits.
Not backdoor cover, but still, yeah.
But, I mean, I even text you guys, and then 2 minutes later, they run down a score. Come on.
I was happy about that. Somebody had to be wrong, not just me. Someone else had to be wrong, and you were technically wrong about that. We're going to get into the upsets. We're going to get into the TD parlays. But we always start this way. What we had right, what we had wrong. Devin, because she just likes to stick it to everybody, and she likes to be right. She likes to be petty. Started with some of her right, so
Yeah.
your TD parlay.
Yeah,
Let's start
my touchdown parlay, Marvin Harrison Jr., Pat Fryermuth, and Bucky Irving. Now, Bucky Irving was the one because that was the later game. So I got Harrison Jr. and Fryermuth pretty quickly in those early games. And then Bucky Irving, I was waiting, and he finally scored, and I was so excited.
It's also annoying because that's probably your most random TD parlay
From out of nowhere.
You think it's random, but it's not.
It ain't.
I've researched these things.
No,
okay?
I get that you research.
I'm gonna get that. Yeah, hold on.
But
Now,
non-big names, like
Right.
even if I research, I'm not picking Pat Fryermuth. I'm like, I don't care if I
He's
research.
the Steelers starting tight end.
He's Pat Fryermuth, okay? that's who he is. I'm not picking him to get a touchdown. So
But
I
like-
just
I understand, but see, just like when you say Bucky Irving,
Mm-hmm.
White is their starting tailback.
Well, because Rashad White hasn't been doing as much, and Bucky Irving had been scoring, I think it was 3 of the last 5 weeks previous to last week, so I guess 4 of the last 5 weeks he scored. So you got to look at these trends.
Okay,
This is why
all
I'm the
right.
anytime touchdown queen, guys. You look at the trends. You look at who's scoring more. So Rashad White
get
was the Bucks guy, and then it switched to Bucky Irving, and he's been doing really well this season. So, yeah, it was a good week for me in that sense. Some of my sides in terms of like wins and losses and straight up winners didn't go so well. But for the most part, like pretty good week. Like it was definitely I made more than I lost this week. So I can't complain.
Barrett, how about you?
Horrible. Horrible. With the exception of, see, I always write down her stuff, and the touch, and I always bet with her, so I win with that. But I wasn't supposed to tell you that. I've been going with you for the last 5 weeks. I'm just letting you know now, and I've been winning.
Me?
Yes,
I'm so honored.
I've been winning.
Oh.
Sean, maybe you should try.
Never.
But then I turned around and I said, the Jets, they should upset Seattle. And what happens?
Nah.
Of course.
Nah.
Of course.
Not so much.
Nah.
And then the Cards upset the Vikings. Yeah,
Wait, Cards didn't upset the Vikings.
that's what I'm saying.
Oh.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, and that's an interesting game this week, the Cards and the Seahawks, because the NFC West still remains pretty wild.
Yeah,
I
it
mean,
is.
49ers went down with a whimper in Buffalo. It's factual. It's factual. I'm not coming
Why
at
were you
you.
even talking about that? Was that even necessary?
Yeah, it was a game.
Why-
it was a
we
game
talking-
that happened.
Yes,
In
the
week
Bills are
13.
favored. Everyone knew they would win. Why'd you have to throw that on us?
But, like, we need to talk about how the 49ers lost Christian McCaffrey, Jordan Mate. Like, who is their running back at this point? The whole team. It's the whole
Practice
team.
squad player. It's a practice.
It's literally
No,
a
hold on,
practice
player.
You guys are past practice squad players now.
Yeah.
You guys are going to guys they got off the street, man.
Yeah, where they signed a practice. They signed a guy off that was just cut by I think the Steelers, and he's going to be their second string running back. And their practice squad running back is now going to be their starter.
That's. I mean,
Ooh.
I'll
Like-
tell you what, I'm not even gonna get on you about that because at this point I can't. That's horrible.
It's weird because you know how in Philadelphia, most big fan bases, you get angry about your team losing. We should be better than this.
Mhm.
I think I'm not going to represent all 49ers who support the 49ers, but at this point, it's just like,
Yeah.
I can't be mad.
Yeah.
This is comical, almost. I can't be mad at my team lose. It's almost like, to put it in Philadelphia perspective, you go into a game and you go, hey, today there's going to be no AJ. There's going to be no Saquon Barkley.
No Smitty.
No Smitty. 2 weeks ago, it would have been no Jalen Hurts.
Mm-hmm.
You're not going to have Jalen Carter. You're not going to have Quinyon Mitchell or Cooper DeJean go in.
Mm-hmm.
And, oh, by the way, your leading linebacker has had a fractured ankle since week 4.
Yeah.
And still playing.
And, by the way, you have a backup punter right now. You see what I'm saying? It's just
No,
like,
I know,
okay.
I know,
It's
I
like,
know.
we can't.
Well,
I
we
wasn't.
can't win.
I genuinely wasn't. I wasn't planning on coming at you. It was just like being honest.
Everything you
That the
do
49ers.
everything you do feels like you're
See,
coming at me, to
you
be honest with
create this. When my anytime touchdown parlay hit, what did Sean say? Hashtag anyone but Devin.
anyone but Devin. Hashtag anyone but Devin. can win.
Those are fighting words.
I'm to the point that I said to begin the show, hey guys, can we make sure we start at this time? And when Devin responded, I just said, ugh. It just felt like a shot. Like, whatever your response was, now, ever since she gave me that Penn State shot, what was that, 3 weeks ago?
Yeah.
Everything that Devin says, I view as a shot, and I get annoyed.
Right. Hey, look, Sean's a good dude, and he reads this. Yeah, Sean.
What are you
What?
trying to say?
I-
He's a good dude.
I
What kind
was
of
saying that
sarcasm
because
is that?
I know that
Is this sarcasm?
I have a bad habit of being like 5 minutes late sometimes. And I was saying like, okay, like, and I promise you, I rushed my dog. I put him in his crate. I like ran out the door because I was like,
I don't
Sean
care.
needs to get out of there on time.
I don't
So
care.
I was responding because I'm like, I feel like this directly to
I don't
me.
care. No, it was both of y'all. Y'all know y'all be late. It'll be both of y'all. But still,
Look, traffic is insane.
You see, I don't. This whole time, you guys were fighting with each other because I'm just like,
Barrett
Barrett's
just
cool
laughed.
with everybody. He's
Right,
just looking
right,
at
right.
he's just looking at the beef. Anyway, back to the what went well. You know what my problem is?
Hmm.
I told you I was up a lot this season, and when I got up a lot and I got reckless.
Mm.
Instead of 4-leg parlays, it started becoming 5 legs, 6 legs, 7 legs.
oh,
So all last week I had a bunch of 4 out of 5s, 5 out of 6s, 6 out of 7s, like a whole lot of just
Yeah.
you were
I
doing
think that's
too
a
much.
lot of bettors problems because I do that too. Where like I'm like, well, maybe I could make it a little bit more, and then that one leg doesn't hit. I had one. What was it? It was so painful this week. I missed by half a yard. It was the Chiefs game, I think. Half a yard short.
With who?
With Kareem Hunt, I think. I took a screenshot of it. I'm trying to find. I don't know. But yeah, like it's painful when you do that because I'm like, oh, let me just add in one more leg, and then that's the leg that
Yeah.
blows it for you.
Yeah, it was just because I 80% of the things that I bet that I thought were gonna happen happened,
right.
Yeah.
but I only won like 2 bets
Because you
out
have
of like 8.
you have a 20. You
Oh,
have 20 leg
because
parlays.
because
that's
I
what
was
it
like
is.
6
I
leg,
almost
7
had-
leg parlay.
I almost had another anytime touchdown parlay. It wasn't the official one I gave out on this show, but it was 4 legs. Brian Robinson Jr. hit, Joe Mixon hit, Jonathan Taylor hit, Calvin Ridley. Ridley. Like I shouldn't have even
Calvin
bet on
Ridley.
him to begin with because
Uh-huh.
why?
Right,
Why?
Right.
Mhm.
But yeah, that was close. How do you guys feel about cashing out? Like when you have the option. Like I had the option on that one. I could have cashed out and made $50, but I stayed because I wanted to make more, and then I lost everything.
Go big, go home.
Yeah. See,
I-
that's most bettors that I talk to. If
Go
I'm like,
big,
should I cash out? They're like, no,
No,
absolutely
no, no.
not.
I only cash out if sometimes when I do too much and I have an 8-leg parlay, I'm like, okay, I'm bound. Like 5 of them already hit.
Yeah.
No, I'm bound to lose one of these, right?
Yeah.
Like sometimes I'll parlay just the games
Mhm.
because I did that for last week where I
Mm-hmm.
said I'm gonna parlay 8 of these games, and I was like, everything looks pretty good.
Mm-hmm.
One's gonna go
One's
go
gonna
awry.
sideways. Yeah.
So I'm gonna just look for the cash out option and then cash out because I know I'm not gonna get eight of these games. And if
Mhm.
I do, I'll live with losing out on, you know what I mean, some money on it.
But see, speaking of games, you look at games and all these, like the Cards, they were tough in it. You know what I'm saying? And then I look at the Jets. The Jets hurt themselves, and that's my fault for going out there and saying, all right, they're gonna finally get it together. Defensively, they're gonna be good. Let's go. And what happens? They trick it off anyways.
I lost a 6-leg parlay because I didn't cash out on the Jets. The Jets were up.
Yeah.
I had 5 of the other legs look obvious, and they offered me a cash out. I said, no, the Jets are up. They're going to win. Thank you, Aaron Rodgers. I hate Aaron Rodgers, but yet I still bet them to win. Let's get into some of the things that were happening this week, first and foremost. That hit. Al Shazier. You talked about Calvin Ridley. The Jaguars. Trevor Lawrence. There's a lot of debate back and forth about that hit, about what quarterbacks should or shouldn't do. What was your first reaction?
I mean,
he died. That's what I thought. He died.
I shouldn't laugh at that because someone actually died on the field last year. But like, yeah, I mean, it was clearly a dirty hit, and I understand. But I also think that there is a inconsistency when it comes to punishment in the NFL. Like Devontae Smith. No one probably remembers this, but it was a really dirty late hit when they played the Saints in week 2. That was, I believe.
Right.
And I think the guy, I don't even remember who it was it like Devontae Smith was down. Like the whistle had been blown. First of all, the refs took way too long to blow the whistle. Whistle had been blown. Devontae Smith is like 110 pounds soaking wet too. Like the guy, every time he gets hit, it's like, I have a heart attack. And he's surprisingly durable for the most part. But the whistle had blown, and some guy just comes in out of nowhere and jumps on him, and he got fined like $5,000. $5,000 to an NFL player.
It was a defensive lineman
or something like that,
well,
and it was so unnecessary.
Yeah,
like the play was clearly dead. So my point is, like, if I understand, like with quarterbacks, they're gonna make the call. You know, they're gonna be quicker to blow the whistle and to examine it and to investigate it. But I just feel like there's we don't see that every single time that we see a hit like that in this game.
But Al Shazier also has a lengthy history. I know because he used to
be like, I'm not that
49ers.
familiar with him as a player.
Boy,
so I don't
that
know.
boy is reckless.
Okay.
I mean, he was someone that you always get pissed at because you're always getting flags.
Even
you're always
teammates.
getting late hits.
Yeah.
You're always doing something stupid after the play. So he has a long-standing history. That's why he got the 3 games, because of his long-standing
And he was
history.
good. He was good in San Fran. I don't know why they let him go.
He's a good player, but again, always doing dumb, reckless things. But the other part about that for me is quarterbacks, man, y'all got to get down way earlier too. Like, you never know where they're going to give you a stutter, when they're going to go for 2 more yards, and you may F around and get trucked. Right? Like, you never know if Jalen Hurts or Josh Allen
he always does it.
are going to truck you.
Yeah.
Right? So the one time that they decide to slide, it's like, look, listen, fam. If I'm a linebacker, I'm saying to myself, don't get trucked. So I'm going there full speed, and before I even notice that you're sliding, it's probably too late because I'm launching. So there has to be some, I don't know, some rule in there that doesn't allow quarterbacks to be wishy-washy about when they're going to slide.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, in looking at it, Josh Allen does it all the time. Like, he acts like he's going to take it out, and then he trucks guys. And then you look at him like, what is that all about? You know what I'm saying? So I understand that, but no, that hit, I hadn't seen a hit like that since back when I played. There was a defensive lineman that played for the Steelers before I was still with the Eagles, and he used to run down on kickoff returns. And those are the type of hits he was giving kickoff returners. He was hitting them so hard that they used to be stuck. That's how hard he was hitting them. I mean, he was a defensive lineman running down. This guy was like probably 280, 290. He ran like a 4.5 40, 4.4 40, and was trucking people. That was the type of hit I saw that last weekend. I was like, yo, that guy.
And the reverse of that, I used to cover Cam Newton, and he had the most flagrant hits. People would, and they wouldn't call a flag. And this was before they really, back in 2015, really started protecting quarterbacks. But at the same time, Cam will truck your ass. And so no linebacker or D-line would even think about him sliding. So when he did slide, it didn't matter if he slid early. They tried to take that man's head off, right? Because they were like, I don't care. You know what I mean? Again, Al Shazier, Vontaze Burfict, like same type of situation. I'm going to take your head off. Yeah. So it's just, again, they need to do something that checks the quarterbacks. But at the same time, that was just a blatant hit that he could have let up early on. Let's go to MVPs real quick. Y'all boy Saquon.
Yeah.
Should be leading.
Top 2 now. Josh Allen, Saquon Barkley. I mean, we're going to talk about underdogs next segment. Is this the ultimate underdog situation?
It's absolutely the ultimate. You talking about MVP, what he means to a team. Besides the quarterback position, he is definitely that guy that you have to say, yes, he has. I mean, I wish I'd have, stuck with it. I mean, I cashed out, just like I said, cashed out on that MVP, after probably 3 weeks ago? Because I didn't really think they had an opportunity. And then the next week, what does he do? He turns around 255 yards. I'm like, oh, I messed up. Yeah, he legitimately has a shot now.
Mm-hmm.
His worth to the team is worth more than, at this point, more than Josh Allen.
He's plus 300. Josh Allen is minus 250. So he still has a way to go, and he has to sort of hope that Josh Allen falls apart a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, it's still a quarterback award. And it's similar to what happened with Christian McCaffrey last season. Like, we can talk about it and the odds can go up, but I think Saquon deserves it, but I just don't think that whoever votes on MVP is ultimately going to vote on a running back. I don't.
You know what? The tides might be turning right now.
You think?
Because he's getting that. It really helped that he had a 425 game, and the majority of people were watching the Eagles game as opposed to watching the other game.
Mm-hmm.
So the media attention he got is what really is taking him over the top right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
After he jumped backwards and then turned around and had a great game like that,
yeah,
at 425, it really helps him,
All right. We're going to talk more about MVPs, the futures, and who else is going to win. But we got to get to the upsets. The big dogs, I mean, who got upset? There's been a lot of upsets this year. There were a couple last week, and I think there's going to be a couple more. Yes, a couple more this coming week. So we'll get to the upsets coming next on the Sunday Spread. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell kicking it with you. Upset time. We had a couple upsets last week, including your Philadelphia Eagles upsetting the Baltimore Ravens.
Sure did.
You see what I'm saying? Like, just don't like it. It just doesn't feel that.
See, now anything I say is going to be
just
taken
doesn't.
as.
I just don't like it. So a couple of upsets happened last week. Let's talk about sort of those upsets, starting with the Ravens, Eagles being an upset. Although I don't know if that was really much of an upset. I think most people
the Ravens were favored.
Yeah, but favored, but it was one of those no one surprised either way. It wasn't big.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, I can't believe they won type of upsets, because we got a lot of those type of upsets over this past week. What other were some of the upsets, at least for you? Again, I know a couple of you guys had the 49ers upsetting the Bills. Not upsetting them, but
Did we have that?
I think you had them. No, you had them covering the spread. Right?
Yeah.
It was a 6-point spread, and they didn't cover. I was the only one, oddly enough, who was like, I'm not taking that.
Yeah.
So that was oddly enough. But again, there wasn't too many upsets last week.
I certainly didn't have the Steelers-Bengals game going to a shootout. And
right. Yeah.
that both of them putting up so many points. Steelers put up
44
44 points. That's the most points that the Steelers offense has put up since 2015. I had to go look it up because I looked up at the score of that game, was like, what? The Steelers games are usually like 21-13. Like very low scoring because it's usually a defensive battle. So I think that speaks to the Steelers offense and how Russell Wilson is really helping to transform it. I did not have that one in
and
the
that
cards.
was an upset. Bengals were actually favored despite Pittsburgh still.
Were they?
Yeah, the Bengals were favored in that game.
I don't remember them being favored. Then yes, that
Mhm.
is absolutely an upset. But I think I still had the Steelers winning that one. But yeah, otherwise, like I don't think I know I had the Eagles winning outright, and they did. I mean, Panthers playing a lot better. Like they still lost, but this is the second week in a row that they've made it a close game. I mean, they took the Bucs to OT.
Got to take the points with them.
Yeah.
Got to take the points.
Yeah. I mean, now this week they're underdogs, 12.5-point underdogs to the Eagles. So I think you could take the points there, a backdoor cover.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
Yeah. So
What about you?
I
Why am I the only one giving my upsets from last week?
Right.
Let me hear yours.
think the Texans, for Jacksonville to cover, I thought they were going to be a blowout. Another game that really shocked me was Kansas City.
Mm.
What is going
Kansas
on?
City. Yeah. They've
been that way the last 2 years. They don't cover. They don't cover their spread.
Yeah.
Like they let every team close to them. Like it's a fair bet. More times than not, they're not going to cover their spread.
I
No, they've
think
won
it's-
Super Bowls despite that.
Their last
But-
3 of 4 games, I think, they haven't won by more than 3 points or 3.5 points. Like they're keeping it close, but I also think that the Chiefs are fraudulent. So
Yeah, it's what.
we can get into that later.
Yeah, we'll get into that because they seem to do this every year and get by. The Chargers, I believe, were an upset money line style. The Chargers flat out won, but again, there weren't a lot of big upsets. A bad team beating a good team. A lot of ones that you could have predicted. So let's go to this week. I'm gonna go straight out the gate. I'm gonna start this one. The Bears over the Niners.
Okay, well you just stole mine, so that's not fair.
Well, good. Okay, I'm glad. The Bears over.
That was personal.
I'm
Dang.
glad. I'm glad. Okay, you're not gonna get one
Dang.
over on me today. But again, why? The 49ers injury report. Aaron Banks, the left guard. Nick Bosa. Jordan Mason is IR. Christian McCaffrey, IR, done for the regular season. Trent Williams, okay, he's on an injury report, did not practice. Dre Greenlaw, Talanoa Ufunga, Diamador Lenore. It goes on and on and on. By the way, their punter ain't back. Like, they have so many injuries that have been beaten bad.
You guys don't even have enough to have a practice squad, bro.
Again, it's practice squad players on the field. So I know the Bears haven't been any good. I know the Bears, have been fumbling the rock, but at least they have healthy players. So I feel like the Bears should be able to win this game. They're coming off a sort of a mini bye because they played on Thanksgiving Day. They had 10 days to rest, 10 days to prepare. So they should be the better team against a 49er team that, again, can't get it together. I mean, they have a practice squad player as their starting running back. You know what I mean? Debo Samuel just ain't the same because once he got injured earlier in the season, he's been floating around. Their defense can't stop anybody. Fred Warner's playing with a fractured ankle. Again, as a guy who roots for the 49ers, their season's over. Wrap it up. Come back next year healthy. So I think the Bears should be able to win this game. So again, they're underdogs plus 165. I don't care who's home and who's not home. The 49ers are too injured to win games right now.
Yeah. I really like the Bears here winning straight up because 49ers, like you just said, Sean, basically a practice squad at this point. And I feel like just given, especially Christian McCaffrey missing so much of the start of the season, coming back and then going out again, like I feel like their morale just has to be pretty low right now too. You're entering a stage where you just like kind of, I don't know, give up is the right term, but you lack a drive, I guess. Where the Bears, they have a lot to play for still. They have a new interim head coach, a guy who
Win one
is
for the
having
Giffer.
a heck of a run here. He was promoted to offensive coordinator, and then a couple weeks later, now head coach
You're
of
the
the
head coach.
Chicago Bears. What's his name? Thomas Brown.
Yep.
Brown. Shout out him. So look, the Bears. You look back to their last few losses, and they've had the worst luck ever. Losing on a Hail Mary, a blocked field goal, and then absolutely poor doesn't even cover it. Clock management. Like, I just feel like Caleb Williams and that Bears team have so much to play for in this game against the 49ers. So I know that they historically don't play well on the road. I think they've lost 7 straight on the road, the Bears, but primed for an interim head coach bounce back. So I love the Bears winning straight up here.
You just win one for the Gipper. That's what it is. I just can't. Sorry, Kenny. I just can't go with the Bears.
You had the 49ers practice squad
yes
beating the Chicago Bears?
Yes, I
Wow.
do. Yes, I do.
If the Bears lose that game.
Bro, they're gonna lose that game. I'm telling you.
Because the 49ers are a
You
team
just
that-
said you had the Bears.
Huh?
No, he's.
I said
telling
if the Bears
Oh,
lose
oh.
that. Yeah, if the Bears lose that game to the 49ers. Then
Dang, it was straight venom. She did. You just said.
I know, because she's ready to jump. She's ready to bite my head off at every turn. You see what I'm saying?
I'm gonna stop.
This why we enemies.
I did that.
Sorry.
See that? See,
Sorry.
I just. Yeah, I put.
I just thought you were flip flopping like that.
Of course you did.
I put gas on the fire right there. I'm sorry. I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna stop doing that. Yeah, but realistically, I just can't see. I can't see them. The 49ers will find a way. They still have enough. Your quarterback's back. That's all I'm gonna say. Your quarterback's back. Brock Purdy being back means a lot going into this game.
So Kenny, our producer, just asked in our group chat, anybody like Chargers to beat Kansas City, and I've seen that a lot. A lot of people do. I think the Chiefs are fraudulent. The thing is, when I was looking at this game, the Chargers have only beat one team that has an above 500 record, and that scares me. So I think that they can keep it close because the Chiefs have been – the Raiders kept it close with the Kansas City Chiefs.
Right.
The Panthers kept it close. They almost took them to overtime. So, like we just mentioned, the Chiefs don't cover, especially when they're favored. But I just haven't seen the Chargers prove it enough over winning teams to confidently take them in this. I could potentially like them covering. What's the spread on that, actually? I think it was like 4 points. Yeah, Chiefs favored by 4. I could see a Chargers cover because the Chiefs hate to cover. But winning outright, I don't know if I'm willing to go there yet.
But you look at the Chargers and you go, all right, let's take a look at your losses. They lost to the Ravens by 1 score, 7. They lost to the Cardinals by 2. They lost to the Chiefs earlier this season by 7 and the Steelers by 10. So they've been tight in every game. They've been close in every game. They've been a score away in every game. And again, they lost earlier this year to the Chiefs by only a touchdown. They held them to 17 points. So this is a game that I would look at for a potential upset. I wouldn't bet on it, and be honest with you. I know this is a betting show. I wouldn't bet on it.
I would love to see it, though.
I think the Chargers, based on how the Chiefs have played, how they played down the competition, how they haven't played their best, and the Chargers are clicking on all cylinders, and now Justin Herbert is getting that pass game. What's the wide receiver's name? Ladd McConkey.
Yeah.
McConkey is
balling.
Yeah.
And that's something
Georgia guy.
He
bettors
left the
haven't
game,
caught up on.
Injured last week. Is he definitely playing? Do we know? Because
Because
that's big too.
Huge.
But yeah, no, he's been playing really, really well for LA.
Keeps
I
the
haven't
chains
heard
moving.
much about it, so hopefully that means that he's back. And if so, then I think that
Limited
gives him
on
an
practice
edge.
on Wednesday usually
Okay.
means
He's
gonna play.
playing. He's
Yeah.
playing.
But yeah, that and bettors haven't caught up to that yet. Like you can get plus 50, plus 75 for cheap odds for him.
Yeah.
Or at least you could over the last 4 or 5 weeks because I've put in bets for him to have just plus 50, plus 75. And they've hit every time. And they've been like plus 50 at minus 120. I'm like, that's it? Okay, I'll take that. Plus 75 at plus 220. I'm like, all right, I'll take that. It's been bets like that where I'm like, it's almost a guarantee how much they're starting to throw the ball, and he's the number one target. What you think, Barrett?
I mean, that to me, he is. I'm gonna go with a different game. I'm gonna go with Bills Rams. I like the Rams going in with the points.
I think that's going to be an underratedly good game.
Yes, it is. I really think that the Bills are drinking their own Kool-Aid right now. You know what I'm saying? And I really think, after this game, they out there playing around, having fun, playing against the 49ers, in the snow, throwing snowball, having a snowball fight with the 49ers I think they're going to go in and really underrate this Rams team, especially that Rams offense. And if they can if they mess around and let the Rams run the rock on them and keep it close, I can see them covering that. Maybe even, I ain't going to say beat them, but I can see them covering 3.5.
Let me pivot real quick. Let me ask y'all a random question. It's not random, but how do y'all feel about snow games? And I'm talking about, as a fan, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
But watching your team play in it is a different level of frustration.
Yeah, it is.
How do y'all feel about not snow games, but Buffalo Bill type of snow games? You know what I mean? Like, it's different we're in the Northeast. You get some flurries, maybe a couple inches of snow. Having to play in what the Bills have to play in and having to do it a couple times a season.
Mm-hmm.
There's a reason why Minnesota has a dome, because they would never play with that type of snow. Are you would you be pro dome, or are you pro just
they should have
had to play in that?
They should have had a dome 30 years ago.
Buffalo?
Yes.
So I know that they're building, the Pagulas are building a new stadium. Does it have a dome?
It should.
Because I thought
no.
it didn't. Yeah, I think they lean into it.
Yeah.
So I'm anti having a roof on a stadium in football because I think it's what makes football.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I love watching a good snow game, but I also could understand, like, if I had to watch the Eagles play in that, I would probably, and like our starting running back gets injured in the snow. Like, I understand that, but I've also been to an Eagles game when it was snowing here, back when it used to snow in Philadelphia. I feel like it doesn't snow here anymore.
Right.
And it was so fun because everyone's like throwing snowballs, not at Santa Claus, in a nice way, at each other, not at the players, but like it adds to the environment. I understand in certain places you need it, but on the other side, I've stood in freezing cold icy rain for 4 hours watching football, and it's miserable. I hate it. And I'm like in my head in those moments thinking like, why can't all stadiums have roofs? So I can go either way on it.
Can I give you guys, just from a player point of view, in which it's all BS? Because I played for the Detroit Lions, and whenever we played Green Bay, we would practice outside. And it'd be a foot of snow. We're out there practicing. We wouldn't get anything done. I mean, we'd be out there jumping off sides, snow too deep. You don't know where the first line are. You don't know where out of bounds is. It's just the worst practice ever. You know what I'm saying? And we go up there and they play. We're thinking, oh, they playing practicing it, and it's cool. I then leave Detroit. I go to Green Bay, and I'm in Green Bay, and we walk outside to go practice outside, and they would see one snowflake coming down.
Mm-hmm.
Take it to the indoor. Take it to the indoor. They go to the indoor. They don't practice out in that stuff.
But then, so look at the Dolphins, for example. I think we figured out at least this current Dolphins team cannot play outside in the cold. But then it can also be reversed, like Tampa Bay, when the Eagles went down there, and we also know in Miami, it's humid, and when it's like 95 plus degrees in full humidity, that's also hard. I just think the elements
our players almost died in that. They were down there.
They add to the game and advantages and disadvantages.
But see, I think extremes. I think it's the extremes that bother me. Like, I'm okay with playing in snow, but when you're talking about a foot of blizzard type of,
you got to shovel your seat out.
Buffalo and Minnesota that get those things all the time. I'm like, you got to have a retractable dome to me. I can't watch players slip this amount of times.
Yeah.
Right. But, you know what I mean? It's just like this is backyard football, which is fun, but at the same time,
now money on the line,
money on the line, and things, and then just. Playoffs being effective. The Bills are going to beat the 49ers either way, but it's just like, all right, like, what happens if it's January and you got a Bills Kansas City Chiefs game and it's in Buffalo and you got a foot and a half of snow?
Well, they've moved it before. Buffalo literally is rescheduled before. That's why I was surprised to hear on the broadcast. I think they said that the new stadium doesn't have a roof, or at least it has a roof over like the seats, but not the field. So I don't know. I just am anti-roof. Like, I don't think every single stadium should have a roof.
But I said all that to say that everybody thinks that the Packers practice out in that stuff.
Yeah.
But it's a state of mind. They go indoor. It could be one raindrop falling down. Brett Favre would be like, hey, take it to the indoor. Take it to the indoor. I'm thinking to myself, all this time, everybody's thinking they practice outside. Yeah. They don't practice outside. It could be one snowflake or one raindrop, and they take it to the indoor. But it's just when they get out there, when we got out there, it was a total different frame of mind.
The stupidest thing in sports is people trying to prove they're tough and say, I'm not wearing sleeves. I don't know why y'all do that, Barrett.
You see, what's his face? Boise State, Ashton.
Yeah, I'm going.
Was warming up like with no shirt on when it was negative
what?
30.
Who are you trying to be? You play football.
I used to live in Boise, and I can confirm that's freezing cold.
For what?
You
play
do not
football.
want to do that.
You're already tough.
Right.
You ain't got to prove that you're any tougher.
Well, I called a Cincinnati game. It was this last weekend on Saturday. It was TCU from Dallas playing in Cincinnati. A 6 o'clock game at night. The weather's like 20 degrees. And what does TCU do? They come out there and they warm up with no shirts on.
Why?
To be tough, to set the tone in their head. I set the tone for them.
I'm already tough. I don't have to prove it. I don't get it.
They whoop Cincinnati, just so you know. I'm just letting you know. That toughness and mindset means something.
All right. Coming up next, we got to get to Devin Caney. She has some things to say about touchdowns and parlay touchdowns, but I'm not going to give her any enthusiasm right now. Sunday spread. We'll be right
Thanks,
back.
Sean.
Welcome back to the Sunday spread, presented by BetMGM on the BetQL network. Devin Caney, Barrett Brooks, Sean Bell. We'll get to the biggest games. We'll get to our best bets. We'll get to the alternatives. But right now, we got to get to the queen. I got to still say it. I got to still give her props. Even though we're beefing, she is the touchdown parlay queen. Devin Caney, you've been hitting. It feels like 4 out of the last 5 weeks. Something like that. It's been an amazing clip.
Yeah, it has been.
Tell us.
She said, yeah, it has been.
You see what I'm saying? You see how everything sounds annoying? You see what I'm saying?
Everything sounds annoying.
You see
You
what
just
I'm
called
saying?
me annoying,
Yes,
dude.
yes.
What?
Every time you're talking about your wins, it's annoying to me now.
You just don't like to see me succeed.
She can't even.
Correct.
She can't even say
You
hi
know
to
when
you
this
right.
started? You think it started with the Penn State comment. It really started last season with the 49ers Eagles beef. But for me, what really did it was the Mets hat. When you wore that Mets hat, you declared war on me.
Wow.
And now, week after week, we come here.
Just because I wore clothing?
You wore
A
a Mets
hat?
hat literally the day after they knocked the Phillies after an embarrassing performance out of the postseason.
Felt good too.
I was
Felt
so
good.
mad. I didn't even want to do the show. I was like, if I go in and Sean's wearing his Mets hat, I'm going to be angry.
Yeah. I'm glad that still stings a little bit. Dev, TD parlays. Remind us of your one last week and what you got this week.
Yes. So last week I had Pat Fryermuth on the Steelers tight end. I had Marvin Harrison Jr. Cardinals. And I had, oh my gosh, who was the third? I'm on this week, so I don't have it in front of me. Bucky Irving from the Bucks.
How could you forget about that?
I know, Bucky. How could I? Okay, so this week I have 5 that I like, but I'll give you the 3 that I would parlay, and then I'll give you the other 2 as kind of like bonus. So you can take these separately or parlay them all together. So first one, Justin Jefferson, anytime touchdown. Falcons. Their pass defense has not been playing well. They're allowing the second most receiving touchdowns to wide receivers and the third most passing touchdowns to quarterbacks across the league. Brock Bowers, we just mentioned him in the break, I think. Bucks, not good against tight ends. Brock Bowers balling out, and he's one of the best options that Aiden has on that Raiders offense. Najee Harris, anytime touchdown for the Steelers. Browns, their run defense, both of these teams they're in the top 5 for rushing touchdowns allowed to running backs. So I was kind of torn between going like Jerome Ford, Nick Chubb on the Browns or Najee Harris. Najee Harris played really well last week. He got a touchdown. I think he gets in there again, especially because the Steelers are playing at home. And then the other 2 like bonus ones that you can throw in or add or swap out. Breece Hall, Dolphins, not good, especially in the red zone against running backs, especially receiving backs. And DeAndre Swift from the Bears. 49ers, I mean, we saw what James Cook did to them last week. So I like DeAndre Swift having a big game for the Bears.
Yeah, she said that?
I did say that.
I mean, you killed us, so what can I say? Okay, so name those again, just real quick.
Justin Jefferson, Brock Bowers, Najee Harris.
Okay.
Bonus, Breece Hall, DeAndre Swift.
Got you. Breece Hall screwed me last week.
Oh, really?
That was the one that screwed me.
He was one I was like, that's why I kind of added him as like a bonus one. I don't want to put him in my official parlay because I don't know how I feel about the Jets offense as a whole.
He was my miss. So I had a 4 out of 5 on the team
Okay.
parlay, and he was my miss. I was like, I haven't gone with Breece Hall all season. And for some reason, it said go
Isn't
Breece
it?
Hall.
And once a player makes you miss, you at least for me, I think it's not even intentional. I just like inadvertently won't take them again. Like Sam Laporta 2 weeks ago made me miss on. He was like the one who didn't score, and then he went off and had 2 touchdowns on Thanksgiving Day.
Yeah.
So Sam Laporta, I'll never forget that. I'm angry about it.
Okay.
But there you go. What about you guys?
What you got?
I'm going
all at
James.
Evans.
I wrote it down secretly on this side of the page. I'm gonna give you mine though. James Conner, any kind of touchdown. I'm gonna go with a guy that, she really hit me to. Tracy Jr. from the Giants, playing against the Saints defense.
That was me, sir.
What?
Tyrone Tracy?
Yeah, Tyrone Tracy. Yeah.
I
that
gave
was you.
Tyrone
Okay,
Tracy.
I appreciate
See,
that.
Stop giving my credit away.
Okay, I got
He
you.
gets
I
all
got
the credit. Give me my one credit.
There are certain teams that I just like don't even look at.
Right,
and the Giants are one of them. But maybe I should because like they still score. They're still
Going against that Saints defense. Najee Harris, I got to go with that anytime touchdown. I'm also going with Breece Hall.
Oh, look at that.
But then I'm going to go Nick Chubb.
Okay.
Nick Chubb against that Steelers defense. I mean, he's the only thing they really going to have going on. And they haven't used him. He's kind of fresh right now because they didn't use him this last game. I think this is his breakout game this season. Of course,
Yeah, the Browns are kind of becoming like Lions territory for me where I don't know whether to go with Chubb or Jerome Ford.
Right.
Because Ford got a lot of play.
He got
last
all the
week.
play last week.
Yeah.
I mean, for the major part of it. Then I'm going to go Saquon Barkley anytime touchdown. That goes without saying. But I'm gonna go out there with probably the best tight end in the league in Brock Bowers.
See, that felt like a dig. Why
That
don't you
was a
call
dig.
Barrett out for that?
That was a dig. Because Barrett's just trying to needle me with fun. I feel like you're needling me with anger. You know what I mean? There's a difference. Like, ha-ha. His is ha-ha. Yours is, yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
anger.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And she's got that. And if he dies, he dies.
You know what I mean? I can feel it. I can feel it right now. Eagles Saquon, they trying to get him the MVP. And he just keeps getting touchdowns from outside
Right.
of
No more tush push.
20. In the fourth quarter, it's going to be, hey, they haven't even got there
Yeah.
because he's running it in for 30, 40 yards out. So
Right.
Saquon Barkley against the Panthers, although I'm excited to see what Bryce Young does. I know the Eagles defense is great, but it's a joy to see someone who was getting done dirty start to play well.
Mhm.
Right? So I know he's not going to necessarily play well against the Eagles, but continuing to show people I am an actual NFL quarterback. Stop disrespecting me. And the Panthers were doing me wrong earlier in the season. I hope, I know the Eagles been strangling everybody. I hope at least he has a decent enough game
Mhm.
where people continue to see that he can be a quarterback in the future.
I hope you
That's
don't bet on that.
random thought. I'm not betting on anything, Bryce. I just hope he has a good game because I'm rooting for the kid. You know, there's just certain people who you root for from other teams
Yeah.
and he's one of the kids that I'm rooting for.
No, I agree. I like that.
I'm so old.
Yeah.
What?
He's a full-grown adult.
They
You-
said
playing
You're
football,
rooting for
and-
the
and
kid.
The kid. I am
Yeah.
old. That's how I know I'm old. So yes, Saquon Barkley's gonna get in the end zone. I also have George Kittle. Again, there's gonna be no snow, so there can be some passing in this game. Their only red zone threat for Brock Purdy has been George Kittle. He's been absolutely balling. He's been actually killing it. Jamar Chase, he has 13 touchdowns on the season. I mean, say what you want. Joe Burrow has over 3,300 yards and 30 touchdowns. 13 of Jamar Chase. That offense is amazing. The defense sucks,
Oh, they're bad.
but that offense has been amazing. They've been in shootouts, and Jamar Chase has been the main individual in those shootouts. So I'm going for him to go ahead and get a touchdown. And I think I'm going to go DeAndre Swift also. 2 in the 49er game. I think DeAndre Swift is going to get in the end zone because, again, the 49ers defense decimated. The O-line is decimated.
I wouldn't.
And they've been letting up a lot of big runs from the opposing team. So I think DeAndre Swift gets in also. So those are sort of my 4 surefire. Although independent ones, I'm thinking about throwing Bucky Irvin.
I
in
like
there
that.
also.
I like that.
You know what I mean? Raiders, bad team. They've given up. They've counted on Bucky Irvin to
And
be the
he's-
number one now.
Yeah, he's now scored in, what was it?
Was it 4 out of 5 or something like that?
Yeah, it was 3 out of 4, so now it's 4 out of 5. 'Cause he
Yeah.
scored last week.
Mhm.
So yeah, no, he's been playing well. Like there are teams that I just didn't take him because I took him last week, and I'm superstitious. I'm like afraid to take a player back to back like that. But he's been scoring a lot. There are other players in like individual games that I like. So Tua, he has not scored a rushing touchdown in a while. I know that he doesn't put the Jets on that often. Sorry, no pun intended there, but the Jets are really bad against mobile quarterbacks.
Mhm.
So he could, and like I'm sure his odds are probably pretty good if you just wanted to take him like independently. And then Kyron Williams, I also think from the Rams could get in the end zone.
I
against
think
the
that's
Bills.
a huge
Yeah.
bet right there.
Yeah.
I mean, it
See, now you're making me feel like I should have added these guys to my official parlay.
You better not. You better not listen to anybody else. Not the way you've been striking hot. So no, don't listen to us. Bijan Robinson's an interesting one too. He's had a low key really good season. Now I know the Minnesota Vikings defense is unbelievable, but I can see some points being scored in this game. And Bijan Robinson has been great. He's almost 900 yards and 7 touchdowns on the season. He's been a consistent force for the Falcons. I think that's another one that I'm looking at for an anytime.
You're not
touchdown,
going
independently.
you're not going for the Kirk Cousins revenge game aspect of it.
Kirk Cousins has stunk the last 6 or 7 games.
I saw an interesting take that it was, I forget where it was, and it was like, we keep calling it a Kirk Cousins revenge game, but he was the one who left the Vikings. So
Oh, yeah. Okay.
really,
Okay.
could it be a Vikings revenge game?
Oh,
Revenge
okay.
game on both sides of the ball.
Da.
Yeah.
Well
I don't know.
played. Well played. Well
Just
played.
makes you think.
Anybody y'all look at, I've asked y'all like 3 weeks in a row. I don't think we've nailed down one yet, but a multiple touchdown scorer. A guy that can get 2.
Those always make me nervous, But I mean, Saquon Barkley, I feel like is always a safe bet to get to, especially against the Panthers.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that would make me nervous about Saquon getting 2 or multiple in this game would be that if the Eagles get up enough and they give the ball to Kenny Gainwell or a different back. But otherwise, I don't know. What about you?
Jamar Chase.
Okay.
Again, Dallas Cowboys. I know they've gotten the Dallas Cowboys. They're all right. Like now that Micah Parsons is back, the defense are a little bit healthier.
Mm-hmm.
They've won their last 2 games. I'd be curious to see the rest of their schedule because they can not ruin a team season, but affect.
That's what they're doing now. Yeah.
Yeah, they can affect where you end up. They did that to the Commanders 2 weeks ago. I can see them doing that again. They got the Buccaneers. They got the Bengals, Panthers, Buccaneers, Eagles, Commanders. I could see them throwing a wrench in maybe the Buccaneers and Commanders, seeding or even getting into the playoffs to end this season. So I think the Cowboys are interesting because they haven't given up. Cooper Rush has played good football. Again, I know this is a touchdown parlay segment, but that would be an interesting one to look at. But I do like Jamar Chase to get 2. I think that's going to be a little bit of a shootout because all of the Bengals games have been a shootout.
A 2-touchdown game. I know it's a dark horse, but I'm going to circle it so we convene back here next week.
Mm-hmm.
A-Chain. 2 touchdowns.
Oh,
Miami,
okay.
playing at home, playing against the Jets.
I like that.
They love this guy now. I mean, I don't know what happened to Mostert. What happened to them?
Yeah.
Where's he
He's
at?
fallen off.
Yeah,
He really has.
they like this young guy, and I can see him going down and being their scoring back this week.
I like that.
Okay. All right. We got some parlays. Devin, well, you got to go with her parlay. You got to go with her parlay. Don't add anything, Devin. Don't let anybody influence you. And if we lose on a week that we go with your parlay, I'm going to have all the smoke in the world for you next week.
Oh, great.
That's
No-
why he's doing it.
Yeah,
No pressure or
I'm
anything.
putting all the pressure on you. So if you let us down, it's going to be hell to pay for.
All right. Well,
Sunday spread, Devin, Katie, Barry Brooks, Sean Bell. We'll be back with alternatives, the big monies, plus 75, plus 100, plus 125. Who we got? That's coming up next. Welcome back to the Sunday spread presented by BetMGM on the BetQL network. Devin Caney, Sean Bell, Barrett Brooks. It's alt time. Plus 100, plus 250, plus 300. The big boy bets. Let's get to it, and let's bring in our producer, Kenny Henderson. Kenny, what you got for us this week?
I'm going to start with your guy, Sean, Mike Evans, top 10, maybe all time. If he's going to do that, he's going to need to continue this 1,000-yard streak, guys. He's been hurt for a little bit of this year, but he's back now. 100-plus yards for him is plus 225. He needs 95 yards a game to end the season to keep his 1K streak alive. He's at about 520 yards right now, so it's not going to be easy to get there. But Baker's going to be looking to feed him. He had over 100 yards last week. So, Sean, what are we thinking about another 100-yard week from Mike Evans this week against the Raiders?
Yeah. 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 He had 118 last week, right? He had a stretch where he wasn't healthy. Now he is. They don't have Godwin yet still, right? So he's their number 1 wide receiver target. And if you're facing a Raider team that ain't good at stopping the pass either, they're not bad, but they're in the middle of the pack. And the Buccaneers like to stretch it. They like to go for it. And Mike Evans is their main guy. I didn't say anytime touchdown previous segment, but I think he may be an anytime touchdown type of player also this week. But I do think he finishes out the season with some big numbers. And so, yes, I'm going with Mike Evans to have over 100.
I like it too, especially because Chris Godwin is still out. And we're seeing him since he came back from injury kind of return to the Mike Evans ways that Sean Bell knows and loves. See, that was not said with animosity. That was just you were right about Mike Evans being a good receiver. He had 118 yards last week, so sure, I'll alt it.
You know what? I will too. I mean, Mike Evans he's a beast. We're talking about a guy 6'5". He ran a 4.340 coming out of college. What he can do is stretch the field. And what does Baker want to do? He wants to pad his numbers. So, yes, he's going for that. He's going to make sure that he gets 1,000 yards this season. And this will be the first leg of them going out and getting that $125 a game. So he gets over 500, so he gets over 1,000 yards a season.
Look at that. Both of y'all agreeing with me. This may be a first. Thank you.
His receiving yards, just like regular on BetMGM, are set at 69.5. So,
Oh, that's over.
yeah, I mean, that's an immediate over. But, I mean, 100,
You got all the 100.
doable.
He's gonna get it. What you think, Ken?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Baker Mayfield and Mike Evans, their connection, we've talked about this on the show, and we know how much you love Mike Evans, Sean. I just think that, like, this a whole 1,000-yard streak that he's gone on for 10 years in his NFL career means so much to him. Baker knows that. They've got a good connection. They've got a good friendship. And I think when you're looking for a betting angle here, I know it's more of a narrative thing, but Mike Evans is also a really good player. It's a good matchup against a Raiders team that, isn't very good on either side of the ball. So it's a game where Mike Evans can really dominate here. And like you guys said, I mean, he needs 95 yards a game to end the season to keep that 1K streak alive. So if you're just looking at, that's what he's going to need. 100 plus yards at plus 225 seems like a really good bet here, especially if, that's what Baker and Mike Evans are, focusing on here. I'm sure they've had a conversation about it because this is something that means a lot to Mike Evans and his legacy as he looks to get into the Hall of Fame one day. So I like this bet a lot, especially at the numbers. And I think even his normal line at 69.5 seems like it's free because he is the only, not the only weapon, but, Chris Godwin being out does help him a lot as well. I think that he goes over his regular line and potentially gets 100 plus as well. Let's stay in the same game.
And plus, at the end of the day, they're going to run the rock to open it up. And the Raiders are playing for the number one pick. They need a quarterback. So they're not playing to win this game. They need the number one pick to get a quarterback.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's go to the Raiders here. Let's stay in the same game. Another guy, 100 yards. Brock Bowers, because this guy might be the only bright spot that the Raiders have coming away from this season. The Bucs pass defense guys ranks towards the bottom of the league, so this is an opportunity for Aiden O'Connell to air it out once again, as he had a really good game against Kansas City last week. Brock is being fed. You saw it in the game on Black Friday last week. The game script also works in Brock Bowers' favor. So what do we think about the best tight end in football, Barrett, going for 100 yards at plus 260?
You got to alt that. He's their only weapon. I knew when this kid was in Georgia, it's funny we talk about two guys from Georgia now. Your boy McConkey, and now we're going with Bowers. Bowers, I saw his first game he played, leaving California and now entering into went to Georgia, and from Georgia up to the NFL, he is by far the best catching receiver tight ends you want to look at. I mean, he is up there with the likes of the Kittles and those guys already, as far as being a pass catcher. Not necessarily a blocker, but a pass catcher. I mean, I equate him to, one of the better tight ends in the league. I could see him being easily a Gonzalez. Easily. He is that good.
George Kittle's the best tight end in the game.
I said catching. I
just want to make that clear. Overall tight end, he's the
yes.
best. And he's missed a couple of games, and his PERs are higher than Brock Bauer. But no disrespect to Brock Bauer. No. I'm going to fade it. Not because y'all are hating on George Kittle.
You're being a hater.
See, I just said not because I'm hating on. Again, he's 2 of the last 3 games he's had over 100. But he's only had 2 games this entire season where he's had over 100. Right? So this is not a regular occurrence for him. It's not a regular occurrence for any tight end in the league, especially not this year.
How many catches does he have?
He has 84 catches. Right? So he's averaging 10 yards a pop, basically. So, he's going to get the catches, but he doesn't get a lot of yards on those catches. And now that he is who he is, he had 140 last week, you are the primary, right? The Buccaneers, just don't let that guy get off at this point. Forget about everybody else. So I don't know how he's going to handle now being the primary person that the defense looks at. So because of that, I think because he only has 2 and because the defense is going to narrow in on him first, I don't think he's going to get it.
I like it. I have him in my anytime touchdown parlay. And the Bucs are not good. Their defense does not do well at stopping tight ends in receiving yards, in targets, or in touchdowns allowed to the position. So because Brock Bowers is like the number 1 guy for the Raiders offense, I like him getting most of the action. So I will alt it.
Okay. What you got, Kenny?
Sean, we don't have to be late on this. Brock Bowers is the best tight end in football, and he will be for years to come. George Kittle is great, and he's having a great season, but he's getting older, and this 49ers team looks like it's going to be in a little bit of a rebuild or maybe retool at least. Not saying that George Kittle can't have a great end to his career, but Brock Bowers doing this as a rookie is incredible. He's the best player at his position. I think he should win Offensive Rookie of the Year. Of course, they're going to look at the
Time out,
quarterbacks.
Kenny. I don't award things until you go get it. What are we talking about here? I don't award it until you. I'm not going to give it to you because a guy is getting older. If I had a tight end draft for just one season, it's going to be George Kittle because he can also block. He's playing with Brock Purdy, and he's played with Jimmy Garoppolo, and he's still all-pro, Pro Bowl every year. And he's missed 2 games. That's the only reason why he's ahead of him in most of these categories. He has more touchdowns than him overall, missing 2 games. He has more per catch than he does. Playing with a 49er offense that's decimated, and now he's the number 1 option because they ain't got nobody.
I just thought this was a betting show and not a fighting. I mean, you just
No. Listen, I ain't got much to hold on to right now.
Show.
The 49ers stink. They ain't going to the playoffs. They're not very good. The only thing I got to be proud about is George Kittle.
George is my guy.
Okay? So I'm going to fight for George Kittle.
I love it.
Well, can we all agree? Brock Bowers is playing very well for a rookie. Like, I don't, in Sean's defense, I don't think it's fair to compare him. Yeah, this season he might be, but like historically, I don't think it's fair to compare him to tight ends like George Kittle.
Well,
Travis
no, I'm not talking about legacy, but I'm saying
this season he's playing very well. But it's also because the Raiders don't have other options.
He will be the best tight end in
he
just
will
a
be.
few.
He
Yes,
will be.
Yeah.
He will be.
In just a few.
Yeah, that's fair. Like I said, I'm a little premature on that, but I just want to say, like,
Kenny getting in on the Sean Bell gang obsessed here. Love it.
He's just the one guy on that mountaintop, right?
It's hate Sean Bell today. It's hate Sean Bell day. It's all right.
No, not that at all. That's my opinion. I mean, he's leading the league in receptions, all players, not just tight ends, all receivers, 84 receptions as a rookie. And I know it's just this one season, but it's his rookie season. This is his first time getting to play in the NFL, and he's leading the league in receptions. That's got to mean something to me. And George Kittle's awesome. He would be 2 easily, and we're talking legacy-wise, of course. I mean, he's played more years. There's Travis Kelce still there, who's also not having a great year. I think Brock Bowers is just really, really good, and like the next evolution of tight ends.
Yes,
for sure.
I don't know about evolution. He's just a pass-catching tight end like anybody else. But let's be clear, PFF. I'm not even a stat guy. Brock Bowers ain't even in the top 5. You know who's ranked number 1 in PFF? George Kittle. We can move on. We can move on.
You're looking up stats and everything.
We can move on.
When have you done that, man?
Number 1.
When have you done that?
Just letting you know.
I'm just saying. When have you done that, bro?
I'm just saying.
We've known these a long time, man. I've never seen you go that far to prove a point.
He got to pass Trey McBride before he gets to George Kittle.
Oh my God! Why are we still talking about this?
Sorry. Go ahead.
I didn't know PFF didn't take account for the guy that leads the league in receptions, but whatever. Caleb Williams, guys, my guy, 250 plus passing yards, plus 240. Thomas Brown, now the head coach. It seems like Caleb finally can just play free, doesn't have to worry about the Eberflus thing. This 49ers team is decimated by injuries on both sides of the ball. This should be a close game. The 49ers struggle to stop the run, and we've seen that, but the Bears also struggle to run the football. So I think that they can maybe get the run game going a little bit to open the pass game, but I don't think you mentioned you like DeAndre Swift, Devin, but I don't know, watching the Bears all year long, I don't know if Swift's going to have this really big game. He rarely does. So I think he'll have a solid game, but I think it'll open things up for Caleb Williams to really throw the ball around to all these weapons. So 250 plus passing yards, plus 240. What do we think about it, Devin? I know we like the Bears, but do we like Caleb Williams on Sunday?
I don't know if I love him getting 250 just because we haven't seen him do that often this season. He's averaging how many pass yards? I don't know. I can't see it right now, but it has not been 250. And against the 49ers, who are decimated, I just don't know if I feel super confident in that. Like maybe if it was 225, and I have DeAndre Swift as a touchdown scorer, but I don't think he's going to go off and have like over 100 rush yards by any means. I just think that Caleb Williams, can spread the ball around to his offense, but it's not necessarily like these bombs are like super pass heavy or super run heavy. I think it's going to be an even mix of both. And because of that, 250 is a little high for me. 217 is the average. per game?
I think I'm gonna alt it just because I think that that 49 team is a proud team, and this is a rookie quarterback, and I just can't see him going in and really. I mean, the veteran defensive coordinator, he's been trying to make use of what he has, and I think he'll do a good job of kind of trying to putting Williams in a bad position. So, I would go with the under 250 plus passing yards, just from the standpoint that the 49ers, I mean, you can only kick them when they're down so much, and they got their ass kicked this last game, and I think they're going to come out to play this next game.
Yeah, he's not going to throw for over 250 because that's the one place that they're getting some guys back. Diamador Lenore, limited in practice, and on Wednesday should be playing. Travaris Ward just came back last game. So their two corners are back. And then you add to the fact, I don't think Caleb Williams has developed enough as a quarterback to deal with the type of defense the 49ers play. They rarely ever blitz. They're the least blitzing team in the league. So
you got to throw guys open.
You're dropping 8. You're dropping 8 and you're having 4 rush. That's what they do the entire game. And it's a lot of zone coverage, and Caleb has to read and be patient. So I don't think he's going to be able to shred it. I don't think he's developed to that point, especially now that they have their cornerbacks, which is why I think the running game is going to flourish in this game, because that's where the 49ers are most unhealthy. Dre Greenlaw still out. Fred Warner still playing hurt, and their entire front 4 are backup players. So that's why I think they're going to be able to run the ball and continue to run the ball, but I don't think Caleb Williams is going to be able to shred them in this game. He may have a pretty good game, but I don't think he's developed enough to really deal with that secondary and the type of defense they play just yet.
Yeah, well, the Bears, that's the thing. Like, the Bears, they don't run the ball very well. I know that that's what the 49ers struggle with doing, is stopping the run, but it's almost like I just don't have any faith in them being able to do that. And therefore, I think they're going to ask Caleb to be a little bit of a hero in this game because, they haven't won since mid-October, I want to say. The Bears have not won a football game since before Halloween, which is just, they're desperate. And Caleb Williams, their franchise quarterback, they finally got rid of the head coach. I think he's went over this line the last 2 weeks, by the way. So I think he plays even better than he has in the last few weeks, and he goes over this line once again. So we'll see.
I mean, the problem you look at, and I know Josh Allen had played in the snow game, but you look at the last couple quarterbacks the 49ers had to face. Jordan Love only threw for under 200 yards. Geno Smith only threw for 221. Obviously, Josh Allen only threw for under 200 yards because of the snow. Snow or not, they don't let guys go for over 250 because their weakness is up front and not in the back.
Yeah, it's not the best matchup in the world. I was going to go with DeAndre Swift, but then I thought, they haven't been able to get him going really. And I think with Eberflus gone, I think Thomas Brown being in at head coach just gives Caleb a little bit more confidence. He's going to play a little bit more loosely. But right before we go, I'll add this alt spread in. Eagles by 20 or more, plus 185 against the Panthers. Are we going with it or no?
I am not, because I think even the 12.5 is going to get covered by the Panthers just in garbage time, like a backdoor. Not that it's going to be a close game, but that spread is so big that I could see them just not even playing guys like Saquon Barkley or the starters by the end of it, and having the Panthers be able to put up points.
I'm an audit. I'm going with that because this team has a different mindset than teams I've seen in the past. Here, Eagles team I've seen in the past. They're taking care of business. They don't care who they're playing. They're going to play their brand of football. They're going to use their identity from this way going forward. A lot of people are thinking, all right, they might, they just beat a Ravens team that are pretty good, but they have a different mindset. They're not too high because they did it. They don't care what jersey's out there, what's on their helmet. They just go out there and play their brand of football, and I think that's the major difference from what I've seen with Eagles teams in the past. They're going to play their brand of football, so they're going to run it, get up on them, continue to pound them. They're going to bring in the rookie, let him run the rock on them a little bit. Gainwell, I just think that they're going to score, and they're going to score a lot because that defense can't stop them. And even with resting, Saquon, resting AJ and those guys. And Smitty's coming back also. I just think it'll be a free-for-all for them, especially in the fourth quarter.
20's too much for me, though. 20? Like, that's the easiest backdoor ever. Like, they'll be up by 25, like you said, and then they're gonna score and do some BS like they did to you last game, like the Baltimore Ravens scoring with 5 seconds left and ruining a double-digit win. So yeah, that's a little too lofty for me because again, 20 is they're 20 points better than them.
I wrote it
but
down.
You know how this gambling stuff go.
I wrote it down.
All right. When we come back, it's the biggest games. All right, Kenny's going to give us some of the biggest games of the week. We're going to break it down and also give you who we're going to bet on in those games. It's a Sunday Spread. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Sunday Spread. A lot of heated conversations.
Yeah, man.
Barry Brooks getting fiery about the Shanahans. Just one of these days we'll have a behind the scenes.
Oh, I'll talk about
I know.
it.
I feel like our commercial break conversations are sometimes better than our on-air conversations.
That should be the show. Becky,
Barrett could have a whole
think
show
about it.
just talking about his NFL stories and experiences.
I just don't like the Shanahans, daddy or son.
That's fair.
Not that he cares, but still.
And we'll save that story for another time, another live broadcast situation. Let's go back to Kenny. Let's go back to these games. Let's go back to the biggest games. Kenny, what are the biggest games you have us talking about this week?
Let's do it. Let's start with a game that is the Kirk Cousins revenge game, or some people might want to say the Vikings trying to get their revenge back on Kirk for leaving them. It looks like they're in a little bit of a better situation now with Sam Darnold, as they're 10-2, guys. Can you believe it? This Vikings team that had a win total of 6.5 has 10 wins, and we aren't even in week 14 yet, or approaching week 14. They're 5.5-point home favorites against the Falcons this week, over under 45.5. This number looks a little bit big, but guys, the Falcons have been playing terrible football right now. They were rolling there mid-season. They had a little bit of a lead in the South. Now it's starting to dwindle away as them and Tampa are tied. So is Atlanta going to get back on track, Devin, or are the Vikings going to get the win here at home and cover?
I think the Vikings are going to win and cover. The Vikings have won 5 games in a row, I feel like, a bit quietly. We haven't really been talking about them like we were at the start of the year. But the Vikings are still a good team. I know that this is going to sound really random, but I was looking at stats. Is it not kind of crazy that Sam Darnold, Cam Akers, and Aaron Jones all had 22 rush yards last week? Maybe I just look for repeating numbers and things. So that was kind of wild to me.
Random.
Anyways, I digress. I just like the Vikings. I like their defense, containing the Falcons' offense, because what that Vikings defense's strengths are stopping and containing the run. And I feel like the Falcons, when Kirk Cousins isn't performing well, like, I don't know, throwing 4 interceptions like he did last week, including a pick 6, they don't really have a ton of other options outside of, handing it off to Bijan, who the Vikings can take that away. So I like Sam Darnold and the Vikings continuing to roll. Sadly, not a very good ending to a potential revenge game for Kirk Cousins in my book.
Yeah, Atlanta's lost 3 in a row. And in those 3 games, Kirk Cousins has thrown for 0 touchdowns and 6 interceptions.
Mm-hmm.
So why do I think he's going to go on the road and beat the Minnesota Vikings, who are playing really good on both sides of the ball? Don't get me wrong. I'm the same way with the Minnesota Vikings as Devin is with the Kansas City Chiefs. I think the Minnesota Vikings are fraudulent.
Yeah.
Right? But they've been playing great football. I don't view them as a real Super Bowl contender. And it's weird because I feel like the Vikings have had like 3 of these teams over the last 4 or 5 years of teams where you go, oh, they're 12-4,
mm-hmm.
and then you lose in the first round of the playoffs, right? Like, haven't they had one of those teams with Kirk Cousins? They had a couple of those teams where you're like, but you ain't real. And that's the way I feel about them this year. So I don't think they'll be real in the playoffs, but they're going to be real in this game. So I got them beating the Falcons with the Falcons playing terrible football.
Yeah, and, just like you said, they can't get that offense going against, the defense of Minnesota. Brian Flores had those guys working, and the mix of how they, play defense. They don't blitz a lot. They play coverage, just like the 49ers do. They kind of the same concepts conceptually, but I just don't like the fact that Atlanta doesn't know what they want to do. They have 2 really good running backs, but they just don't use them efficiently. So I think Flores really shuts them down, and they don't have a shot at playing, some good football. And Kirk Cousins, just gets beat up again. Another week in the Kirk Cousins beatdown.
Another reason for me to think Minnesota is fraudulent, despite me thinking they're winning this game. 7 out of their 10 wins have been 1-score games. Like, they've been the king of just barely getting by.
Mhm.
Well,
Right? They barely got by the Cardinals with the Cardinals making a mistake and them winning 23-22. Like, they barely get by teams. The Bears have played terrible football. They beat them 30-27. They barely get by teams. So I wouldn't be mad at a cover here. Again, it's 5.5. I wouldn't be mad at the Falcons getting within 3 of this game because that's what Minnesota has done all season long, is allow teams to cover.
Mhm.
But I still think they end up winning because the Falcons just aren't playing good enough offensively.
There's Saquon Barkley catch away from a loss
Yeah.
with the Eagles.
What else you got, Ken? And
Well,
what do you
yeah,
think
I was
about
just
the
gonna
game, by
say-
the way?
Yeah, I was just going to say I'm on an island here. I think the Falcons are going to win this game outright. And I know the recent play and the numbers will not back any of that up. But this is sports, and this is Kirk Cousins' opportunity here to show that he's still a starting quarterback in the NFL. This is a guy who threw for 500 yards in a football game this year. He's not as bad as he's been in recent weeks. I think that he takes this week to figure it out. He's also going up against a defense that he practiced against for years. So this is an opportunity for him to go out there. And I think that this game's just going to be a lot closer. I would definitely take the Falcons with the points. I could see the Vikings winning by a field goal, but I think the value on the money line here at plus 200 for the Falcons to go in, the more desperate team, and win this football game. And I am playing the Kirk revenge angle a little bit, and I know he was the one that left them, but this is his former team, and this is an opportunity for the Falcons to still stay in the playoffs, because I think if they lose this one, the Bucs have a favorable matchup against the Raiders, and if the Bucs were able to take that division lead back, even though the Falcons beat them both times this year, they have an easier schedule down the stretch, and I think the Bucs would end up just taking that division. So the Falcons know how bad they need this game, and I think Kirk plays better, at least, than he has in recent weeks. And I think the Falcons actually get the upset win. I think that's going to be one of my favorite upset picks. I have another one coming later in this segment, but Falcons over Vikings is going to be my first one. Now let's go to a big matchup in the NFC West. Seahawks at the Cardinals. The Cardinals are 2.5-point favorites. We saw this matchup out in Seattle a few weeks ago. The Seahawks had won games in an ugly one, 16-6. This is a big game in the NFC West. I think the winner might be your NFC West champion when it's all said and done. Sean, what are we thinking about your division?
My
The
division.
Seahawks at the Cardinals.
Can I
who's
just say
winning?
and this is not a slight to you, I hate the NFC West right now because it's so hard to pick these games.
It is.
Like, they're all so close. I mean, the spread kind of reflects it. It's not necessarily a pick 'em, but it really is anyone's game at this point, probably besides the 49ers.
And even the 49ers only
And even they're
two
not
games
yet. They're
back,
not
like, just
completely out of it.
They're not out because they're 2 games back and they play all these teams down the stretch. I don't think anyone runs away with this. And the
No.
Seahawks, if they win this game, they would be running away with it. They've won 3 straight. But again, when they played the Arizona Cardinals, they played them at home 2 weeks ago and barely won that game. Now that the Cardinals are home, I think the Cardinals win this game. Again, like you said, these teams have been back and forth. You don't know what you're going to get from them. The Arizona Cardinals are a good football team. So, again, this game being at home, they are 4-2 at home. And so I think they continue that. And so I think they win this game.
I
Yeah.
agree. I like the Cardinals winning and covering the 2.5-point spread. They're 4-2 at home, like Sean, you just mentioned. 3 of those wins have been by 20 or more points. Kyler Murray, 10 of his 17 touchdowns this season were when they were playing at home. So I think that gives them a big advantage. I like the Cardinals here.
And I like the Cardinals also. Just looking at the Cards, playing at home, and I think they have the better quarterback. Kyler Murray is, he plays frenetically, but I mean they know how to get that offense going in the right direction when he gets going. So I'm gonna go with the Cards also, 2.5. And Seattle, they don't have enough in the running game. I mean, I love the receivers. I mean, they do have something in the passing game, but I just think the Cards win this game just from physicality of them running the rock and time possession being on their side.
All right. What you got, Kenny?
I don't know if you guys would agree with this, but these might be the 2 most mid teams in the NFL.
No, but I think that's the thing about the
Mid-division.
NFC West. They all
Yeah,
look
all mid.
like pretty mid, but like upper mid. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're not terrible, but like they can also have really good games,
Yeah.
but also really bad games.
They can get you if you're sleeping.
Yeah.
You
But,
know what I mean?
like,
One of those type of teams. They can
they're
get you if you
Right.
look past them. But at
Right.
the same time, if you don't look past them, it should be a easy win.
I think they stay that way. They're going to stay in mid-pack because they're going to get mid-pack picks in the draft.
Yeah.
That's the only thing about, the way the NFL draft is done. These guys will get a mid-first round. They're not going to get that big impact, top 10 because they're not going to be picking at that. They're going to be picking right around 10, 11, 12.
You got to draft well. You got to draft Kenyon Mitchell.
Yeah.
You got to draft Cooper DeJean.
Shout out Howie Roseman.
Yeah.
I hate that we just got a Howie Roseman shout out in the show, but
you got to get to him.
Whatever. Kenny, go ahead.
I'll pick the Cardinals too. We'll all be on the Cardinals here. I like that they're at home, and I think they're a little bit more of a flashy team. As Seattle has had a very up and down season. They're playing really good football, but they escaped a win in New York. Now they're coming back to the West Coast and playing another road game here. I think it's going to be really hard for them to get another win, but I do think it'll be close. And if this number were to ever get to 3, I think the Seahawks +3 would be a good bet. But right now at the current numbers, -2.5, I think the Cardinals would be the side that I would pick. All right, let's go to the later games. Bills at the Rams. The Bills are 4-point favorites. Over under here, 49.5. Josh Allen, the MVP favorite. The Rams, another team. This is a big game for them. If they were able to pull off the upset here, which I think one of you guys had mentioned, the Rams maybe pulling off an upset in this game, they would be right there in position to win the NFC West. So Barrett, what are we thinking about Bills at the Rams on Sunday afternoon?
And yes, I was thinking that not necessarily upset, but I think they would cover. But, with the Bills, I mean, they're coming off a snow game. They're playing around. I still think they're drinking their own Kool-Aid right now. And like it or not, the Rams can score points. They got 2 really good receivers, and they can get that running game going. They can really make it tough on this Bills team. Them playing at home, -4. I mean, I'd fade them. I'd go with the Rams.
What you think, Devin?
I think this is going to be a low-key really good game. It's hard to pick a side here. Like, there are a few props that I really like. I mentioned Kyren Williams. I like him potentially getting in the end zone, but also take his over rush yards. It's at 70.5. And on BetMGM, he's averaging 77 or over 77 rush yards per game, and he leads the team in touchdowns. So I like him having a big one against the Bills. And then James Cook, another big game. He had 107 yards last week, and Rams defense has not been great against the run. A la Saquon Barkley a couple weeks ago. So I like this being a big game on the ground. I really like the over. The Rams have averaged over 23 points per game in the last 6 weeks. Buffalo averaging almost 30 points per game on the season. So I think it's going to be a high-scoring game, potentially shootout. It's hard to pick a side for me. I think I have to go with the Bills just continuing to roll, though.
Yeah, Bills.
But I like the Rams covering. I think I like a really close game.
I think the Bills are just on another level right now over there in the AFC. They're just balling on both sides of the football. Josh Allen's getting whatever he wants to get, and that defense has played really well. Shout out to DeMar Hamlin. All the things he's going through. He's a starting safety right now.
That's crazy,
for a team that's 10-2 and playing.
Maybe
good
he'll
football.
actually win comeback player of the year this year.
That dude actually,
he should.
Passed away on the field, came back, and is playing right now. Starting ball. It's not like they
and playing well.
Yeah, he's balling right now.
Yeah.
Another thing I didn't mention. What's the name? Milano. Milano's back now.
Who?
Starting middle linebacker for the Bills.
Oh.
Milano's back now. So
okay.
He's starting his first game being back. That's a huge.
Oh,
huge,
so does
huge
that affect
thing.
my Kyren Williams props then?
That's why I would,
Ooh.
tell you, he's back and he's good. He's one of the better linebackers in the league. So, this is his first game back, so he might be a little rusty, but that's huge. That's key for their defense.
Yeah, I just think Buffalo's playing just overall good football. They're better defensively. They've had a better offensive output, despite the Rams having all the weapons they've had. The Rams haven't been lighting it up. It's not like they 22, 23 points per game. It's not. Now, and that's against bad teams that you're putting up some of those numbers. Now that you have to face the good teams, what are you doing? So, and again, they've eaten over the last couple weeks. Last couple of their wins have been eaten off of bad teams at the same time. So,
but
I like
still,
the Bills in this game.
Can they still rely on Mac Hollins being, their guy when Keon Coleman isn't back yet? Is he back this game, or is he coming back this game, or?
I don't know. So that it's interesting that you bring that up because when I was looking at these matchups, like when I create the anytime touchdowns that I'm going to take, or even just props, like I love to look, as one does, at like the defensive and offensive matchups. And the Rams are allowing literally the most receiving touchdowns to to wide receivers. And I'm like, okay, who is the Bills' number one wide receiver? And it's kind of hard to figure out. Like, who is the Bills' wide receiver?
It's supposed to be Amari.
But
is
it though?
No,
it's supposed to be. But that's why I didn't include that in my anytime touchdown parlay, because it's like Amari. I guess it should be Amari Cooper. Is Keon Coleman back? Mac Hollins randomly has the most receiving touchdowns on the team.
He's a red zone threat.
Is like
he's basically a tight end.
Yeah.
Shakir's like one of those, Wes Walker type of players,
Yeah, which I think can be an advantage to the Bills because they don't have like that one guy, but then it's hard betting wise because I just didn't take anyone. So if you guys have any advice on like who I should take, please.
Well,
let
it
me
usually
know.
be the tight ends, but like Dalton Knox and Kincaid, but Kincaid's still out. So
Yeah, probably Shakir.
You think?
yeah.
Okay.
I mean, he's the one who seems to get the most play, gets all the intermediate routes. But I wouldn't be surprised if Amari Cooper gets a touchdown in this game also. What do you think, Kenny?
Well, you could also take Josh Allen to throw a touchdown to himself, kind of like how he did. I know he didn't throw it to himself, but he got credited for throwing a touchdown sort of to himself last week.
Oh, that's
So
right. He got lateral, right? He got lateral, right?
Yeah, so he got credit. Yeah, he got credit for a passing touchdown on that play and a receiving touchdown on that play as well. But also, it's funny how they score it. They only give him the yards and the touchdown, but they don't even give him a reception because he actually wasn't the one that caught it. But he gets the receiving yards off the lateral. So if you look at the box score, it says 0 reception, 7 yards, touchdown, which is kind of weird. But however they want to score it, I guess. Anyway, I like the Bills to win this game, but I actually like the Rams to cover. I think that this is a little bit too big of a number considering the Rams are at home. They play some of these better teams this year, and they fall up just short. I know the Eagles took care of them pretty well in their matchup, but they went to overtime with the Lions. They actually beat the Vikings in a Thursday night game earlier this season. So they play these better teams pretty well, but they fall short more often than not. And I think that happens here yet again in a season that just has not been very ideal for them. They've had to deal with injuries and everything and haven't been able to capitalize on what's been a very mid division. So we'll hit the break here and then we'll get to Chiefs Chargers.
All right, when we come back, we'll get the Chiefs Chargers, like Kenny said, and our best bets. And I'm going to throw a random game at you guys. I just thought about.
Okay.
It's going to be a random game, but it's going to be a fun game of big-time bets that you can take this week. All right, Sunday spread. We'll be right back. And we're back for the final segment of the Sunday spread. We're going to get to our best bets. We're going to get to a fun game. But first, Kenny, come back here and join us and tell us the last game we'll be breaking down.
Let's do it. Sunday Night Football, huge battle in the AFC West. The Chargers are visiting Kansas City to play the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 4-point favorites, the team that hates to cover but just loves to win. I made a comment last week, and I think it's a very true comment. If you want to bet the Chiefs on the money line, that's a great bet. If you want to bet the Chiefs on the spread, it rarely hits, which is just a funny concept. Like, you think if they win almost all the time that they're covering, like at least sometimes, they almost never cover the number that Vegas makes them, which is just so weird. I actually took them on an alt spread to beat the Raiders by like 20 because I was like, are we finally going to get the Chiefs blowout win here? And they beat them by 2. I was hoping they lost by the end of the game because it was just so frustrating to watch a team that just always wins, just always skate by with these – people like to call it lucky, but sometimes it's just, they have good coaching. They're good in certain situations. So anyway, I kind of teased that I like the Chargers at least on the spread. But anyway, Sean, what are we going with this one? Chargers at the Chiefs.
I want to go the Chargers.
Like
I just
cover or to win outright?
To win outright. I want to go with the Chargers. Again, Kansas City's just been lucky.
Yep.
Right? I don't want to say just lucky. All right, they're
they're
a dynasty. They're winning
statistically,
Super
they
Bowls.
have been the luckiest.
Yeah, true, but
NFL.
they're a dynasty. So I guess you sort of create your own luck being as good as they are. But they've won a lot of games close in games that you go, maybe you shouldn't have won that game. I think the Chargers just teed in and are locked in. And now that Justin Herbert has sort of been unlocked offensively, he's throwing for a lot more yards and again, not turning the ball over. To me, he's not an MVP player, but he's like low key an MVP. He should get a vote. Put it that way. I mean, the guy has 1 interception on the season. He's been playing outright great football. Not turning the ball over whatsoever, giving this team a real chance to win. So I think the Chargers, again, I don't see the Kansas City Chiefs just winning throughout. and getting to the playoffs and continuing. I think they're going to at least drop another one. I don't see this team being a 16-1 team. So I'm going to pick here for it to be their loss.
Yeah, I mean, you look back at the Chiefs' let's just do their last 4 games, right? The Raiders, who are 2-10, only won by 2 points, and I think it was a missed field goal at the end that won it for the Chiefs. The Panthers, who almost took them to overtime and who we know are not a good team. Chiefs only beat them by 3 points. Bills beat the Chiefs. And then Broncos, Chiefs beat them by 2 points. So, like, these haven't been, like Kenny mentioned, like, the Chiefs never cover when they're favored. And they're always favored because they're the Kansas City Chiefs, and they're still 11-1 at the end of the day. I don't know if I'm going to take the Chargers outright, but I do like the Chargers covering the spread. Chargers have won 5 of their last 6, and for me, it's their defense. I think the Chargers defense will be able to pressure Patrick Mahomes. They're still the number 1 scoring defense in the league. Like, they're holding teams to really, really low points. They picked off Kirk Cousins 4 times last week, returned 1 for a touchdown. So I think that they can get the best of Mahomes here, or as best as one can get of Patrick Mahomes. And because of that, I think it's going to be a close game. I don't know if I feel confident enough in taking the Chargers on the money line, though.
Yeah, that's kind of tough. You know, these are one of those games that you really, really got to sit down defensively. Both teams have pretty good defenses. You look at the Chiefs. I think they have the lesser of the two. So if I would have to go with the Chargers, and Chargers with the points, not necessarily to win the game. The Chiefs just slide by us, and win just on a whim. You know what I mean? They'll pull it out at the end. So I mean, I can't go with them Chargers outright, but I will take them in the points.
What you think, Kenny?
Sorry, I was just going to ask about a prop. So Isaiah Pacheco came back for the Chiefs last week. He didn't really do a ton. I think he had like 40-something yards on the ground. But we know how he was all throughout last season before he got injured at the start of this season. How do we feel about him in this game, like in terms of an anytime touchdown score?
I think they're going to get him going. I mean, Andy's going to get him going.
Yeah, because he was like on the bubble for me in including him, but I didn't because we haven't really seen him yet.
I don't like it.
No.
It's just the Chargers have been so good defensively, so good against the run game. Yeah. I think Kansas City is going to have like Noah Gray or backup tight end.
Noah Gray. I feel like Noah Gray is like the parlay wrecker.
Yeah. He always sneaks in there.
He always sneaks in. It's like, who's this guy?
Yeah. Right. So, yeah, I think it's going to be one of those guys that gets drawn up for a touchdown as opposed to one of the key guys. What do you think, Ken?
He'll be the one to give a shovel pass to at the goal line.
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're going to bet on Pacheco, one thing you're going to know is he's going to run hard for you. If you guys have seen the memes of him running, like
angry
you guys know what I'm talking about. Yeah, the angry running. Yeah, he will run hard for you, but I don't know. I mean, the Chiefs have a lot of guys that could get in the end zone, but I didn't want to do it, guys, but I'm going to do it. Chargers money line. I'm standing on business. 10 points down. They are going to win this football game. I'm tired of the Chiefs, guys. I'm tired of them skating by. Someone needs to punch them in the mouth.
Wait, timeout, Kenny. Timeout. Let's take a timeout real quick. Wasn't it 2 weeks ago when Devin said, I'm going against the Kansas City Chiefs, and you go, why would you ever go against the Kansas City Chiefs? Why would you ever do that? Wasn't that you? What's going on here?
He said, I believe it was never bet against Patrick Mahomes. I think that was
as an underdog. As an underdog, that was the key caveat to it. Is when they are underdogs. I think that's a bad bet because why would you lay points or take a minus money line against that team? Now, if I'm getting a plus number with the Chargers here, I'm taking it, right? So that's where. Because they don't cover these games, and they usually win a lot of them. But my point being here, and yes, I'm the idiot. I'm the one fading Patrick Mahomes here.
Stand on your business. There you go. Stand on your business.
I think that this division rival Chargers are going to go in there. Herbert has not beaten Mahomes since 2021. He's dying to do it. Harbaugh, this is his game in Kansas City in December. Run the football, play good defense. Herbert's going to outplay Mahomes. I'm tired of the Chiefs skating by, and they're not going to do it here. And if the Chargers hang in, they're going to find a way to win the football game. Good coaching, good quarterback, Chargers over.
Tell him, Kenny. There we go. Tell him.
Okay, I'm with you. All right, Ken, I want you to stay here because I'm trying to figure out. I'm trying to win big money before the season ends, right? Which means I'm parlaying every week for the last 2 weeks. I'm parlaying a bunch of 100 yards, 100 yarders.
Receiving, running.
It doesn't matter.
Whichever.
Receiving,
Okay.
running, I parlay like 5 guys to get 100. That's
All
usually
right.
your ridiculous odds where it'd be like, if you put down $5, you'll win 1,200. Right? Like, it's been one of those. And I'm like, I feel like I can hit one before the end of the season. So I'm going to play a quick game before we get to our best bets, of start one, bench one, cut one.
Okay.
And I'm going to give you these 3 individuals, and I'm going to do one for running backs and do one for wide receivers. And you tell me who you would start, who you're definite, who's a maybe, and who you would say who you're cutting from this list to get 100 yards this week. I'm going to go A.J. Brown against the Carolina Panthers. Panthers stink, so, I feel like that could be all right. Justin Jefferson against the Atlanta Falcons, who have been playing terrible right now, and Jamar Chase against the Dallas Cowboys. Start one, bench one, cut one. I might go all 3, but I want you to give me a start one, bench
Who
one,
was the
cut
second
one. It was
Justin Jefferson.
Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, and A.J. Brown.
All right. I'm going to start. Am I going first?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. Cut AJ Brown just because I don't think he's going to need to get over 100 receiving yards against the Panthers. Bench Justin Jefferson and start Jamar Chase.
Okay. I like it. What you think, Barrett?
I would do the exact same thing she's saying.
Okay.
And you mentioned Jefferson.
Mm-hmm.
That was the tough one.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Because I think Chase is playing for his life right now, and Cincinnati is playing for their lives right now. So, that's why I would start Chase.
Okay. What you got, Kenny? Real quick.
Can I start all of them? I'm kidding. I like all those. I agree with Devin a little bit, though. I don't think Brown's going to have to get there.
Right.
But yet again, he catches 50-yard touchdowns, not all the time, but, pretty frequently. And if he does that, then there's a good chance he does get to 100. I would actually start Jefferson, though, because I think that the Bengals, not that they're like not trying anymore, but I just think that like they have a better chance at blowing out the Cowboys than the Vikings have blowing out the Falcons. I know that sounds kind of weird, but I just think that like the way that the offense is for Cincinnati, how good it is that they could just blow the Cowboys out of the water, where I think Falcons-Vikings just has so much going on there. It's going to, 2 teams vying for the playoffs. It's going to be a closer game. I would start Jefferson, bench Chase, cut Brown, and only cut Brown just because they might just crush the Panthers and he might not have to get it. But I like all 3 of those bets. I think those are probably the 3 most likely guys to get 100 plus this week.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, real quick, because we got to get to our best
like
bet.
this game,
I'm going to
so.
give you my running back one. Okay. Start one, bench one, cut one. Saquon, I'm putting in there automatically. Alvin Kamara. He's been balling. Bijan, he has 894 yards. Bijan Robinson against the Vikings. And I was going to select, I was going to say Tony Pollard because he's been low-key balling, getting
James Cook.
a lot of yards. But I was going to go Kyron Williams.
All right.
Kyron Williams, Bijan Robinson, or Alvin Kamara. Start one, bench one, cut one. I
Stop.
bench quick.
You go first.
I would bench. Damn. That's tough. That's really tough. I would cut Bijan Robinson.
Okay.
Alvin Kamara, I would bench him. I would bench him. And then I think the Rams going to run the rock.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
They're going to run the rock, period, man.
I have same exact order as Barrett. Start Williams, bench Kamara, cut Bijan.
Okay. What do you think, Kenny?
Yeah, it's tough. I don't want to cut Bijan though, because the Vikings are like the best team against the run, but he also is it just rushing
It's
or
just
are we
rushing.
doing
Just rushing.
receiving?
Yeah,
Okay.
see if
No,
it
rushing.
was
Just
that's
rushing.
interesting.
No,
If
no.
it was rushing
It's-
and receiving combined,
The odds aren't
Then
as
I'd be
good.
more-
They're not as, you know what I mean,
okay,
to do that.
okay.
So that's why it's just
And
right.
I would
Right,
cut Kyron then. I would cut Kyron then, and then, Alvin Kamara, I would actually start him then. Yeah, I would start him then.
can we do this as a whole segment next
Right.
week?
I
like
like
this
that. I
game. It's
like
fun.
that.
Okay. I'll throw it in earlier next week, but that's just what I
For
was
sure.
thinking.
Yeah.
Kenny,
we can
you
do
real
this.
quick before we get to our best bet. What would you start benching?
Yeah, I would actually start Kamara. I think the matchup against the Giants is good, and I think that he should get receiving work as well. I know we're not talking about that, but start Kamara, cut Kyron, and bench Bijan just because of the matchup. But I love Bijan Robinson. He's been grubbing lately.
Okay, got you. All right, real quick. Dev, best bets.
All right, so let me go over my anytime touchdowns if I can pull them up for a second.
Mhm.
All right. So they all hit last week. This week, I like Justin Jefferson, Brock Bowers, Najee Harris, 2 bonus picks, Breece Hall, and DeAndre Swift. I like the Bears winning outright as my money line underdog upset of the week. Did we really dive into the Jets Dolphin game? Because I like the Jets covering that 6.5 point spread. At least that's what it's at right now. That could change.
You hard-headed. See, you hard-headed.
Why?
You know you hate the Jets.
Oh yeah, I do. I like to see the downfall. And I like the Chargers covering the spread against the Chiefs.
Okay. Barrett?
I want to wash my mouth out, but I'm going Cowboys. Cowboys, beat the Bengals. I mean, that's my surprise right there. I'm going to go 49ers with the points, beating the Bears. And I'm going Eagles with the money line. I'm going with the points, beating the Panthers.
With the points.
With
Gotcha.
the points, 12.5 with the points.
All right. I'm going Jamar Chase, 100 yards in the anytime tutty. I'm going George Kittle over 50 yards in anytime touchy. 50 safe, but I think he gets an anytime touchdown with it. Saquon Barkley over 100 yards and a touchdown. Again, he may not need all of that, but at the same time, I think they're give you a little bit of MVP stuff. So I think they want to feed it to him a little bit more. And then that'll be the last one for me. I'm going to combine those. Those are my surefire ones. Everything else is, well, we'll see. All right, this has been the Sunday Spread. Appreciate it as always. Appreciate you, Kenny, Barrett Brooks, Devin Caney. Week 14. I'm Sean Bell. Win some money. We out.